What's a fact you know that almost everyone is wrong about? There is not just fight or flight response, but also a freeze response. The muscles tense and the body goes very still. This explains why some people are paralyzed with fear and freeze instead of running or fighting back. It is very helpful for camouflage and hiding from predators with poor eyesight. It does not work so well when standing in front of a speeding truck. The myth of Narcissus. Most people think of it as he has fallen in love with himself, missing the distinction and nuance that he falls in love with the image of himself. This is important. If you run into any narcissist, you will notice the image they have of themselves is quite different from who they actually are. Beer won't skunk if you let it get warm after getting cold. It's all about light exposure. Good one. My organic chemistry professor in undergrad worked on the beer side of food science. Every Halloween he would show the episode of a European documentary about beer skunking. If I remember correctly, a compound in the hops was light sensitive and would break down / produce a thiol compound when bombarded with sunlight, which the documentary kept humorously referring to as the cat piss compound. Our professor called it skunky thiol. I think he developed a chemical additive that would absorb excess light and keep the thiol from being produced, but if added to beer, made the end product could not be classified as beer by the strictest definitions. The other way to slow down the reaction was using colored glass bottles instead of clear glass to try to block certain harmful wavelengths. Props to the marketing team at Corona for the lime wedge / lime juice campaign to mask the high levels of cat piss compound. Water isn't actually conductive. It's the impurities in the water that allows it to conduct electricity. Edit. For those that are commenting that it can conduct electricity albeit not very well, I'm aware. But it conducts so very poorly that it is essentially negligible. So for simplicity's sake, it's easy enough to say it doesn't conduct electricity. While serving on an airfield, I remember telling a non-aviation friend that there was a plane coming in about an hour from then. He said that was impossible because the tower is closed. I explained to him that flights come in all the time when the towers are closed. Even commercial jets are constantly landing without the tower being open. He absolutely blew up, said I didn't know what I was talking about, and that planes would crash all the time if that were the case. How could planes land without a tower? That just makes no sense. I even got my superior officer on the phone the next day to explain it, and he still wouldn't believe it. I had 3 other people under me explain it to him, and he still wouldn't believe it. I told him, dude, it's really simple to prove. The tower hours are posted. Check the last time a flight lands for the night, and I guarantee it will be after that time. He did. It was, and yet he still refused to believe me. The sad fact is, people would probably riot if they found this out, because they'd think it was horribly dangerous, but it's been standard operating procedure for decades now and no one has even noticed. It hasn't caused a single crash. Believe it or not, it's actually safer to come in after hours, because of the reduced traffic. This is not something that needs fixing. It's a very logical move. But I'll bet there are even people reading this that won't believe it. Unless you work in aviation, you probably don't know any of this. That my mother was right. I'm a super smart and handsome boy with cute dimples. Edit. Wasn't expecting this to blow up. Thanks for the upvotes. I was a bullied and awkward kid that didn't fit in growing up. I had a high school reading level in 2nd grade, but ADD so bad that I graduated high school with a 2.1 GPA and had an IEP. My dimples were from getting my ass beat by 4/5 kids walking home from school. Junior high and high school wasn't easy. Fast forward almost 25 years. I'm a criminal defense attorney, have 2 beautiful kids, and I occasionally comment here. I listen to my mom and never let the trolls win. If you're not consistent with disciplining your child, they will not understand the concept of consequences, and thus no matter how hard you try, they will continue to engage in the undesired behavior. You all would think that this is a basic thing for parents to understand, but nay. Little Braden / Caden / Drayden / Graydon / Hayden / Jaden / Peden / Occaden is an angel, and it is no big deal that he pushed a kid off a bike and the kid who fell may have a concussion. As a teacher, I see far too many parents coddle their children. Sorry love, your son is pushing kids for literally no reason. We have tried every behavior management and discipline strategy we could think of. Yet when you pick your son up at the end of the day and you sign the incident reports, you tell him not to worry and give him candy and act like nothing happened, he's going to think what he did is okay and continue to do it. Parents, please believe your child's teachers when it comes to their behavior. We just want to have a future where the generation who is going to end up taking care of us isn't full of assholes. Robbery and burglary are two different crimes. If you come home and find your house has been entered without your consent and property taken, you haven't been robbed, you've been burglarized. If you're in your house and someone comes in and threatens to harm you, if you don't give them your property whether a weapon is involved or not, whether they forced entry or not, you've been robbed. If you're outside and a person uses force or the threat of use of force to obtain your property, you've been robbed. This form of robbery is also called mugging. Robbery involves the use of force or the threat of the use of force against a victim. If you've been pickpocketed, you haven't been robbed. Bad vibes are a thing, but they are not what you think. When others feel stressed or scared, they emit a chemical transmitter that everyone in a radius around them perceives unconsciously. If you're close enough, your body will react with a pre-programmed response. Usually your pupils dilate, heart rate increases, and cortisol, a stress hormone, will spike. You will go into fight or flight response. This is something we adapted to as humans evolved. If a person perceived a threat, say, a tiger nearby, and not everyone could see it, their fear experience had the advantage of being contagious, so to speak. A lot of the time, the people we come in contact with make us feel bad because they are stressed or scared. Our bodies are reacting to them out of our need for survival. People who are constantly anxious have anxiety that is literally contagious. Liking things neat isn't necessarily OCD. Being anxious only sometimes is different to having anxiety. Telling someone to calm down or to relax during a panic attack doesn't help. Edit. Got a few people asking me how you can actually help people having a panic attack. I'll reiterate what I've mentioned in a few replies. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. A big breath in the belly helps too. Try to imagine your belly filling up like a balloon and exhale. There's some great resources online for breathing techniques. Helpful statements to say. Saying calm down, relax and stop shaking doesn't help. We know. We are trying to calm down. It's the body's natural instinct for us to panic. Usually positive phrases help. Such as it'll be okay, it'll pass. It always passes, and it can't hurt you. You'll be fine. Give us time. Panic attacks can happen at any time. Often for no reason. It was a useful human feature when we had to outrun natural predators back in our primal days. The heart would beat faster and the adrenaline would kick in and give us heightened senses to help us to escape. But now, yeah, I don't need to outrun a wild creature while playing Crash Bandicoot alone in my house. It's a release of adrenaline. It's why our hearts pound and we shake. It's also completely normal. It won't hurt you. It'll pass. Just give us and yourself time. I'm glad people were asking me how they can help someone having a panic attack. I hope you'll put into practice what I've said when helping a friend or family member if they are panicking. Or even yourself, if you struggle with it. You'll be okay. That the Ice Age isn't something that ended 10,000 years ago. The Ice Age is still ongoing, but we are in what's called a warm interglacial period. We still very much live in an ice age. Here is a picture that shows how Earth has jumped between glacial and interglacial periods for the past 400,000 years. Each peak is an interglacial period with temperatures and climate similar to what we have today. Each drop is a glacial period with colder average temperatures and climate similar to what people and the fauna experienced up until around 11,000 years ago, what you were taught in school. As you can see, we are pretty close to the peak of this interglacial period and things should theoretically soon begin to cool down again, and we'll enter another glacial period if past trends continue, which they may not due to recent mishaps of humanity. We might skip that period altogether, or bring it on sooner, or runaway greenhouse effect. We don't know. Just remember that this doesn't mean that global warming is a hoax, it's not. But that's a different discussion. Disclaimer, the graph above isn't showing current climate trends of today, and is only meant to show the trends of interglacial/glacial periods that has been. Various recent graphs and information related to the current climate discussion on global warming/climate change can be found easily on Google if you are interested. Further down the comment chain there is climate discussion on global warming/climate change if you wish to learn more or participate in that discussion. Edit for disclaimer and potentially misleading information.